This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15 p.m.) This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The Speaker says Parliament will not be summoned tomorrow. Armed forces empowered to exercise force if deemed necessary. Exclusive fuel arrangement for healthcare workers will resume tomorrow. In foreign news, a mass grave containing 17.5 tons of human ash unearthed in Poland. Sports cricket, the 100 is to be played until 2028. News in detail. Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Abeyewardene says Parliament will not be summoned tomorrow. He said Parliament will meet within 3 days after receiving the resignation letter of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Meanwhile, the party leaders' meeting and Parliamentary Business Committee meeting will be held at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Sri Lanka Army says that members of the armed forces are empowered to exercise force if the situation deems necessary as security to the public property, key installations, vulnerable points and human lives falls within the purview of their responsibility. The Army said, issuing a statement in view of escalation of violent acts. Those protesters intent on harming the armed forces or damage public property are urged to desist from all forms of violence immediately or be prepared to face consequences. The Secretary to the Minister of Health says exclusive fuel arrangement for healthcare workers, which was deferred earlier this month, will resume tomorrow. This was announced in a letter sent to the Secretaries to the Ministries of Defence, Power and Energy and Public Administration today. Health Secretary Janaka Chandragupta said it's essential to provide fuel to healthcare workers to provide an uninterrupted healthcare service in the country. Accordingly, motor vehicles will be issued 20 litres, three-wheelers 8 litres and motorcycles 6 litres. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
Continuing with more local news. Former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa and former Finance Secretary S.R. Artigala today pledged before the Supreme Court not to leave the country until tomorrow. Former Central Bank Governor Ajit Nimad Cabral also pledged before the Supreme Court not to fly out of the country and that if he does so, he would get the approval of the Supreme Court. A motion was filed yesterday seeking an order prohibiting the former Prime Minister, the former Finance Minister and former Central Bank Governor and several others from leaving the country. 2 passenger cruise ships arrived at the Hambantota International Port yesterday. The 2 passenger ships, MV Aries and MV Gem, which are currently anchored at the Hambantota International Port, can each carry about 800 passengers, are berthed under long-term mooring operations. The crew members of the cruise ships will be staying at the port for a month. Hambantota International Port's Commercial and Marketing General Manager, Lance Sewell, said the port is committed to providing the best services in the region to any ship from small to large ships, oil tankers and containers transporting vessels. He said those vessels will help increase awareness among shipping lines of the various services offered by Hambantota Port. The Government Information Department says that no COVID-related deaths were reported yesterday, according to the relevant statement issued today by the Director General of Health Services. 19 new infections of the New Year cluster have been reported today. 664,345 COVID patients have been recorded so far. And that ends local news for now.
Imagine if you could maintain a firm hold of your operations from anywhere. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The General Manager of Sri Lanka Railways says that trains from outstation areas to Colombo have been suspended due to the curfew. However, he said that trains departing from Colombo in the evening will operate as usual. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on with the watchlight this evening. Minister of Finance has issued an order under the Foreign Exchange Act extending the amnesty period granted for persons in or resident in Sri Lanka to deposit or sell foreign currency in possession to an authorized dealer up to the 26th of this month. More information on the order under Section 8 of the Foreign Exchange Act published in the Gazette dated 5th July 2022 can be downloaded or accessed via www.dfe.lk. That's www.dfe.lk. And that was Watchlight. Moving on to a bulletin of world news in the headlines. A mass grave containing 17.5 tons of human ash unearthed in Poland. Turkey says a deal is in sight to end Ukrainian grain blockade. India to give free COVID booster doses to adults for 75 days. World news in detail now. A mass grave containing 17.5 tons of human ashes has been unearthed in northern Poland, close to the former Nazi concentration camp of Soldau. Tomasz Jankowski from Poland's National Remembrance Institute said the grave contained at least 8,000 victims. The bodies are thought to have been dug up and burned in a Nazi operation to hide traces of their murderers. The Nazis murdered Jews, political opponents, and members of the Polish elite at Soldau. Turkey said talks aimed at resuming Ukrainian grain export blocked by Russia in the Black Sea have produced a deal. It raises hopes for an end to the standoff, which left millions at increased risk of starvation. Turkey's Defense Minister Hulusi Akar said both sides had agreed on ways to ensure the safety of shipping routes for grain ships. He said the agreement would be signed next week when more talks are said to be held in Turkey. India has announced a free booster COVID vaccine doses for all adults for 75 days starting this week. A federal minister said the time period was to mark the 75th anniversary of the country's independence on the 15th of August. Until now, only frontline workers, healthcare workers and people above 60 years were eligible for the free booster doses. Others had to pay for it. The move comes days after India cut the gap between the second and third doses of the vaccine to 6 months from 9. Back to the headlines of the world news. A mass grave containing 17.5 tons of human ash unearthed in Poland. Turkey says a deal is in sight to end Ukrainian grain blockade. India to give free COVID booster doses to adults for 75 days. And that ends world news. Up next is development news. The Climate Smart Irrigated Agriculture Project, which is financed by the World Bank, is implemented by the Agriculture Ministry in 6 provinces of the dry zone, covering 258 Gram and Nildari divisions in 11 districts. The main development objective of the project is to enhance the livelihood of beneficiary farmer families by improving climate resilience and agriculture productivity. The project is planned to be completed in 2024. And that was development news. Coming up next is sports news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
An extension of the England and Wales Cricket Board's broadcast partnership with Sky Sports means the 100 will be played until at least 2028. The new 4-year deal beginning in 2025 ensures at least 30 T20 Blast matches a season will be shown live, an increase of 50%. There is also said to be an increase in the amount of women's cricket shown on free-to-air television. The ECB said that the fee paid by Sky was up on the last rights deal, which was worth around £220 million a year. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Ceylon Cards came up with a promotion to support shoppers access Glowmark from anywhere without visiting the store amid the fuel crisis that has severely restricted travel. Ceylon Bank has partnered with SoftLogic Glowmark to ensure hassle-free online shopping experience at www.glowmark.lk for loyal Ceylon credit card holders with added benefits during a happy hour. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10-second prize winners. iPhones for the 10-third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
In economic news, investors are clashing in on the strong prospects of Sri Lanka's apparel and textile exports sector, which caters to some of the leading fashion brands globally. Sri Lanka's cumulative national merchandise exports for 2022 up to the end of May exceeded $5.1 billion, a nearly 10% increase from the same period of 2021 and a 46% increase from the corresponding period of 2020. Similarly, the apparel and textile sector recorded $2.25 billion in export earnings during the same period of 2022, reflecting an 86% increase year on year. And that was economic news. And moving on to the weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the Sabarakamu province and in the Nuwara Eliya and Kandy districts. A few showers will occur in the western and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. Strong winds up to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills and in the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, back to the headlines. The Speaker says Parliament will not be summoned tomorrow. Armed forces empowered to exercise force if deemed necessary. Exclusive fuel arrangement for healthcare workers will resume tomorrow. In foreign news, a mass grave containing 17.5 tons of human ash unearthed in Poland. Sports cricket, the 100 is to be played until 2028. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.